Hello and welcome to Morris Park. I'm Clyde Morris. Today we've got a new part of our collection. This is part 5 of my fall greenhouse tour. Today we're going to look at Sanseverias and a couple other things. Now I'm going to start off with one of the most common and well-known ones. This is a Sansevieria trifasciata, and I've got two varieties in here basically. You can see that's been blooming pretty good. Just lately it's put out quite a few flower spikes. There's at least 3 of them right here, and there's another one back here. It's been blooming pretty good. Now I've got two varieties, I say, and there's a variegated. You can see the variegated one. Got the variegation along the leaves there, and then the green one, the normal plant. Now I didn't plant two varieties in here necessarily. Here's what's happened. Years ago, my stove malfunctioned and it got down to about 20 degrees in here. Some things did very well because they were dry. Other things burnt up pretty bad. And this is one of them. Now, some of the roots survived on this, and then a few leaf sections just survived. It's kind of strange. Some of the roots actually froze and were killed out. And then others did just fine. And that's where the variegation is from. The variegated ones came from the roots that survived. Now the green ones were because I had leaf sections of these variegated ones that were still alive. And I restarted them. I did not have any green ones, plain green ones in here. You can see when they start growing, they're really striking, a really good color to them. Anyhow, when you do leaf cuttings of Sanseverias, and yes, you can grow these Sanseverias from pieces of the leaves. Takes a little while, but they will root up, and they'll even root up in water. But the resulting shoots from the variegated leaves, when you cut them off and you plant these variegated leaves, the resulting shoots are going to be green. They do not come back variegated. The only way they come back variegated is if you grow them from the root itself. And these here have a bit of both. Like I said, some of the roots survived, some of the leaves survived, and so I got a blend of both in there. It's the same plant all the way around, but the restarts from the variegated leaves are green, such as these here. Let's fill this pot out pretty good. This actually started out in the house. Deb had this one in the house, and it got too tall. It actually grew quite a bit taller than what you see now because it didn't have as much light. And out here it gets quite a bit more light, and that's why some of the leaves are a bit yellow too, just a little bit too much light on some of them. Got kind of hot out here this summer. But nonetheless, it's growing pretty good. Now up here, I've got a Bonsell, a Sansevieria Bonsell starfish. And it's a little yellow too because it's kind of up high and it got a bit too much sun. This one can handle it a little bit better. You can see it's got quite a few shoots over here too. New shoots that are nice green colored, have good color to them. I may have to shade this one out, find a shadier spot for it. It's a little bit high up. And this one next to it is kind of an enigma. I've had this one the longest out of all my Sanseverias. And it's kind of a walking sort. It's not Pinguicula, which they call the walking Sansevieria. But you can see how this grows. It just kind of marches along and it gets these roots. And the roots will grow out until it contacts some soil somewhere. And it'll root just like this, sitting just like that on the ground and continue growing. Now originally I got this one over 40 years ago when I worked at Live Oak Gardens. And it was in the greenhouse and it was pretty shriveled and dried. And I asked the boss about this one. She said, just take it home. We can't really sell it, just take it home. So anyhow, I've had this Sansevieria forever. It's got some dead leaf tips up there. I imagine that was from the heat this summer. But all in all, it's actually growing pretty good. It's really thick in that pot, and I'll probably have to pop it out of that pot and do a repotting here in the spring. I won't bother with it right now. You can see all the offshoots it's got on it and everything. But this guy has been extra tough. It's put up with a lot. Very tough Sansevieria. I wish I knew exactly which one. This matches the ID of a lot of different ones. There are so many of these cylindrical types out there. But it's really grown well, and it's been a tough addition in my collection. I can't really say addition. It's the starter of the Sansevieria collection. But anyhow, you can see how thick it is in that pot, and it's going to be redue for a potting here this spring. Now right here, I have a Sansevieria Golden Honii. These are great little Sanseverias for houseplants and such because they stay so nice and small and compact. Lots of color. That kind of silvery striped leaf there with the variegation. And this is a variegated one. Sansevieria Honii is actually more of a green color, and it looks much like the green version right here of the trifasciata. And basically that's what Honii is a trifasciata, but it's a dwarf form. But the normal Honii would be that color. But this is a Golden Honii. Pretty cool plant. Tough plant. I would recommend this for anybody that likes house plants and has a little bit of a problem growing them. This grows in a lot of shade down here. Does really well. Don't need to water a lot. Don't really have to worry about them wilting. Great house plant. Now this one back here is a Sansevieria Ehrenbergii, I believe. Dwarf Samurai. It's got these really heavy, thick leaves. Kind of boat-shaped like that. Real heavy, hard, but it's got some pretty big spikes here on the end, too. I've had this one for a little while. It's only grown 2 heads so far. I really expected to grow some more, but it hasn't grown any more. Maybe if I move that rock, it'll do something. I don't know, but yeah, Dwarf Samurai. Now this one here is Sansevieria Gold Flame. It's a variegated cultivar of Sansevieria. I don't know the exact species this came from, whether it was trifasciata or not. I think I've had this one about a year or so. Lots of color to it. Good looking Sansevieria. One behind it is a Sansevieria Moonshine. I like this one for all those white leaves it's got. It's a really cool Sansevieria. Pretty tough one. It's put up with a lot. Nice looking plant. Another one of those plants I would recommend. Most of these Sansevierias are great for beginners because of the fact they're so tough. Now back behind it is a Sansevieria Whitney. Another cultivar. Really cool. Those really dark leaves, almost black leaves with the variegated, well not really variegated, but the striped edges. Variegated, I mean striped like many Sansevierias, but just on the edges. Pretty cool. It's a smaller type also. Now the Sansevieria here is a hybrid Sansevieria I bought at the Springfield Yard and Garden Show. Does not like sunshine much. It really prefers to have it very shaded and dark. I tried to grow this with more sun, but it really just wilted all over the place. Didn't do well at all. But here it seems to have come out and freshened up a bit. Grows these long rhizomes. This is a hybrid of Mafinga and Sudwalla. I got it for like $5. It was pretty cheap when I bought it at the Yard and Garden Show. Pretty good deal. I can pull this one out a little bit, get a better look here. So yeah, pretty cool. Now this is a Sansevieria francesii. It's another one of the cylindrical types, and it kind of grows up like a pineapple top almost. But then it produces those long shoots that produce the new plants. This one's gotten kind of tall, actually, with that shoot. I just tied it up there so it wouldn't be wandering around to the side. I could probably cut that off and just start a new plant. I've had this one bloom once for me. I've not had any of these others here actually bloom for me in this corner. But the Francisii has. But pretty cool Sansevieria there. And that's it for the Sanseverias out here in the greenhouse. I do have some other varieties in the house, but this is the greenhouse tour. So that'll be for another time. Now next to it here, I thought I would throw something unusual in. And that's my Cycads. Now this is what they call the sago palm. And these plants, a lot of people warn about them being deadly poisonous and so forth. Folks, really that's if you eat them. They're not going to just jump out and get you. It's kind of dark in here right now. It's getting towards evening. But you can see that big fat trunk back in there. But there's two plants in here. And I got it from two different places. And I've had them a lot of years, both of them. And they do put off offshoots pretty regular. But this is kind of a weird deal. These plants are called sago palm because they actually use this for a food product called sago, even though these things are toxic. Now, there's two different sago palms. One is an actual palm tree, and it is called the sago palm, and it's not poisonous, and they use it quite a bit. What they do is they use the inside of these trunks on these trees, and they're ground down basically to make kind of a flower called sago. Now, these here are toxic, and they'll cause kidney failure and all kinds of things if you try to eat any part of the plant, seeds included. But what they do is they take and the inside of that trunk, like on the palm itself, they take it out and they will actually leach the toxins out of it. I'd say by using boiling water and such. But they leach all the toxins out, and then it's perfectly usable. All the toxin comes out of it, and then the product itself is actually usable. Now, these things resemble a palm tree quite a bit, but these are actually a living fossil. These things have been around for a long time, and they're not related to palm trees in any way. They're actually related to pine trees and spruce and conifers and such, because they are a cone-bearing plant. When they bloom, they produce a huge cone in the center. And they can be male or female plants. Kind of like pine trees and such. But very interesting. Now here's another Cycad I have here. And Cycads are a pretty good sized family. But this is a bluish colored one. I do not know the species. But it has kind of a caudex down here. You know these big fat roots in here? It grows in these really thick and fat roots. And I got this right before I left California, so this is about 40 years old. It hasn't grown a huge amount. But I'll have to admit, I haven't given it the best conditions over the years. It's just starting getting better conditions and growing a lot better. So maybe it'll multiply a little bit. It does have an offshoot right there, but it has no leaves on it right now. But this little blue Cycad here, I do not know the species of this. The sago palm over there is Cycas revolutia. I'm thinking this might be an encephalitis of some type. I'm not sure. I know it's one of two varieties, and I can't really distinguish them much. One is fairly common, and one is actually fairly rare. So I'm not sure on that. But nonetheless, it's a really cool plant. This came out of a flower bed of somebody I was visiting. And before I left California, I had a big California desert tortoise, and I had to leave him in the state because it's illegal to take him out of the state. And she was one that would take them in for adoption. So I left my tortoise with her, And notice you have these little cycads growing in a flower bed, and so I got to start off of one, and I've had it all these years. Pretty cool cycad, but that's all the cycads I have. I don't have a big collection of cycads, just those two. Now, before it gets too dark in here, it's getting kind of dark. We're getting towards evening here. It's probably getting close to 5 o'clock. So I'm going to show you some of my agaves, and then we'll cut it off, and we'll have another part of this video. We'll have part 6 next weekend. Now, this is Agave Americana. Agave Americana is a huge agave. If you see them grow out in California and Arizona, they're great big agave. Some of these, just the leaves alone, can get as tall as myself, if not taller. This is the variegated one. Most of the time, they're just kind of a blue color, and I'll show you a couple small ones I have that somebody gave me. But I try to keep this one stuck in this pot. I don't let it get too much out of this pot. If it gets to where it's root bound, I'll probably just cut the roots back and restart it. They're very easy to restart, but I don't want this getting too big. It will really get big. So I try to keep it down a bit, keep it confined to pot. Now this is the regular blue version. There's just a couple little shoots that were given to me. Look pretty small and innocent now, but they get very big. But like I said, I'm not going to give these too much attention or too much room, because I don't want them to get huge, and I want to kind of keep them back a little bit. Now, I believe this is Agave Perii, and you see it's got a little bit of debris in there. I just hustled them in from underneath the trees and stuff like that I had them under. But I've had this one a very long time. I've had it well over 40 years. When I was doing yard work, people wanted to kind of thin out some of these. And so instead of just throwing them away, I grabbed a couple here. I've had them quite a long time. I've kept them kind of tucked in a pot too, and not let them get too big also, because of the fact that I don't want them getting too big. These guys get a little dangerous. As you can see, these spikes here, very sharp. I've been caught in the ankle and the legs a few times by these things, and the calves. And you don't want them getting too big. You don't want them spreading out into everything else. Now, this is an Agave Titanota Lion's Mane. I got this not too long ago. It's a pretty cool agave. I love the thorns on it. Really thorny for its size. Really like that. But yeah, really nice agave, Lion's Mane. Now here's a couple of hybrids. Now this is a Mangave, and it's a Manfreda Agave hybrid. This one's called Purple People Eater. Really like that one. And then we have one over here that's called Pineapple Express. It's a little dark here to see now, but anyhow, you can see the spots and such on it. Pretty cool. And this is another Mangave I have here. It's a little smaller one. And this one's called Mangave Bloodspot. Looks very similar to Purple People Eater, except for the size of the leaves and the shape of the plant. Now, I don't know the species of this agave. I got this from somebody I moved many years ago. And he had quite a few of them. He had started all from one that he had got in Arizona. Very easy to grow. And if you don't keep this one controlled, it'll get pretty big too. So I try to keep this one controlled and don't let it get too big. I've had it for quite a few years now. It's got quite a trunk on it now. But yeah, this is one that's out of Arizona. I do not know the species. Well, it's getting a little dark here. I'm going to have to probably cut it off here. But just before I go, this is an Agave Titanota, and this is the regular form. And this one's very large. You can kind of see it. It's a little dark in here, as I say. Those big blue leaves, and it has those really huge, unusual thorns on it. But anyhow, it's getting a little dark in here. Can't really see that one. Everybody's inside now for the winter because these don't take really, really cold winter temperatures. Maybe a little frost, but that's about it. anyhow, since it's getting dark, this is Clyde Morris from Morris Park. I'll see you next week. Take care.